God damn it, dude. So I was just at the Cafe Rio and I just ate like the biggest burrito.
That's dangerous.
That I've ever had in my life. And we were supposed to stop at the store on the way home. But that dude was barking at the back door already, like immediately.
It's amazing how fast Cafe Rio will slide through.
Almost instantly.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, we have to stop for chicken. And I was like, this turd has got one toe in the water already. I've got to get home immediately.
Do you lose sleep at night? Grab your pillow tight. Do you struggle to find why Han and Luke had to die? Are you just a mess? Does Hollywood leave you stressed? Because their sequels are more important than fan requests. Hold on to your chair, cause Talking Poop takes you there. You might have to change into some new underwear. Talking Poop.
Welcome to Talking Poop.
Welcome to Talking Poop. I'm your host, Jason Bromley. We're here today with a fan favorite, Mr. Brian the Machine Gun.
You almost had it. You almost just had Brian Gunn.
I almost forgot the machine part.
I'm going to have to change my Instagram to Brian Machine Gun Books.
Brian, tell the people what we're here to talk about today.
We are here to talk about a hilarious movie which Mr. Bromley just introduced me to on Friday night called What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes, this is a movie that everybody should see and nobody has.
Yeah.
So we're going to call this an Upper Decker episode.
Upper Decker.
Because for those who don't know, an Upper Decker is when you go into a friend's house, preferably somebody that just has like a brand new apartment, and you take off the top of the bowl where the water is that like makes the bowl flush, and you shit in that part of the bowl. And then you just close it up.
Yeah, because how often do people look in there?
Nobody ever looks in there. But when they finally do, like, have to, like, the toilet's not clogging right or whatever, or it's running too long, they take that top off and they see, like, an ancient poo that's been floating in there for soggy. Months.
It's all disintegrated in there. It's just no good.
And they know now that every shit they've taken was on that dirty, ruined bowl.
Preferably, you want to do this to a stranger's house, like a house party, or someone you don't even know, so that it's like you're like a burglar turd guy. He just dropped in, he dropped a deuce, and he was gone into the night.
That is a beautiful thing to do to people, but I like to do it to like true friends.
Right.
So that they're like, there's only one person I know in my life that could have done this.
There's no mystery.
Yeah, I don't have to sign it or anything. They just know. They're like, that belonged to Jason.
That was Jason's.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what we're talking about today. So this is movies that you should have known were there.
Because they're good.
But you didn't. But then when you finally find them, you're like, oh my God, what a surprise.
But now it's a surprise in a good way, because this movie was delightful.
It is delightful. And I thought that it was an appropriate time to spring it on you, because they just turned it into a television series on Fox. And I was skeptical when I heard they were going to do this. I was like, there's no way it's going to translate.
That usually doesn't come off well when you're going, man, we had this great success or great idea for a movie. Now let's put it into 30-minute episodes or whatever.
Yeah.
It usually is just shit.
It usually doesn't. But I've watched the first two, and they're glorious.
They were awesome.
And I'm really glad. I was afraid when I first heard that they were going to try to like remake the characters from the movie, but they didn't. They just they made new characters that are oddly similar to the characters in the movies,
right,
but they're different
right.
characters. And they're in Staten Island instead of New Zealand.
Right.
Because the movie takes place in New Zealand. So for those that are uninitiated, New Zealand is an awesome place to make movies, and they have tons and tons of tax breaks. And so that's why a lot of times you'll see that like low budget horror stuff and things like that were filmed in New Zealand, because first off, New Zealand has like landscape that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, that Lord of the Rings backdrop.
Yeah. And I mean, if you need snow, they have it. If you need woods, they have it. Yep. You need big open space, they have it.
You need a beach,
you need a city, they have it.
Yeah.
Like, they have everything. So it's a great place to film. And
you should go check out my Instagram page. My sister-in-law, she lives in Australia, and she took a detour over to New Zealand on her way back from Christmas. Mm-hmm. And I gave her this Legolas like action figure years and years ago. And so she took him to New Zealand with him, and she like set him up in all these great action poses all around New Zealand. And then she'd like send him to me with captions. So I was posting those on Instagram.
For the uninitiated that didn't understand Brian's weird pronunciation, that was Legolas, the character, the archer character from Lord of the Rings.
Legolas. Everyone understood that.
Legolas.
I'm going to slap you in the mouth.
And It's Lord of the Rings, not Lord of the Wrongs.
So sorry.
How did you pronounce it again?
I don't know. It's Lord of the Rings.
No, the guy.
I don't want to talk about it. That one. Legolas.
Legolas.
Who's read the books here? Oh, wait, this guy. Those books, I'm not a fan of the books, by the way. Really? That's like one instance where I was like, I prefer the movies over the books.
That's interesting because I've heard a lot of good things about this Tolkien guy.
No, Tolkien, fantastic, great creator, great mind, but like that 1920s, 1930s, like the way it's written, Frodo put his left foot in front of his right foot and thought, I'm so far from home. Frodo then put his right foot in front of his left foot. And it's super weird. There's this really weird relationship you don't see in the movies between Sam and Frodo. Sam is...
I saw it.
He's straight up a slave.
They were fucking each other.
No. Like, Sam, like, sleeps down at the foot of his bed. And, like, even in the book, it'll be, like a good servant would sleep. Like, it's super... It's, like, creepy, like, master-slave relationship. And
right,
then you watch
at
the
foot
movies.
Of my bed, so what's the problem?
I like it down there because it smells good.
Yeah, right.
But there's this weird, like in the movies you see, and you're like, man, Sam does everything because he's awesome. And then in the books, you're like, Sam does everything because Frodo orders him to. Super shitty.
Like a good slave, Samwise was there. So anyway, we're not talking about Lord of the Rings. We're talking about another New Zealander. And I'm going to pronounce the name of it. I'm going to fuck it up, but I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Tatai Waititi.
We're sorry. He's the director of Thor Ragnarok.
He's the guy that directed Thor Ragnarok.
He's a pretty funny vampire.
He's an amazing vampire. This guy's an amazing talent, period. He also did, it's either Eagle versus Shark or Shark versus Eagle. I can never remember which one.
I have not heard of that.
But that was an amazing movie. He did another one with a little kid and Sam Neill that was amazing. And he's currently playing Hitler in his newest movie. And he's just the funniest, weirdest dude ever. And that came across in Thor.
Yeah.
Like, the reason Thor was like, people are like, oh, that Thor was so much better. It's because of him that Thor was so much better.
I feel like he really let the character of Thor out. Like, Thor's always been a pretty funny dude. Like, let him be funny.
But not only that, but he was like, he made like the crazy color palette in that movie. If you look at the way that
whole movie's a trip
and stuff,
it's a whole trip.
It's a whole different look for outer space stuff, and it's all him. So he is a true talent. And I have all the more respect for him because when they fired James Gunn, they were like, who's at least as cool as James Gunn? Oh, we just worked with Tati Waititi.
Honestly, if I was a big budget Hollywood guy and I saw What We Do in the Shadows, I would want to hire him for pretty much anything. I would give him money and just say, like, go make something.
Yeah, like if you did you can throw anything at him, and if he puts his little on it, and then
he really took this vampire thing. He took this like vampire shtick and really like went outside the box with it.
Yeah, for sure. Because we've all seen basically he took The Office and made it about vampires.
Yeah, it is like a documentary type. Like they know the cameras are there.
Yeah, it's a single camera set up, and they talk to the cameras,
which led to like some really cool. You were telling me like some really cool one take shots.
Yeah, that's the other thing that like beyond the comedy of it, the dude is genius when it comes to using like that movie. He had very little money for that movie, and the practical effects in it are insane. And they start off in the very beginning, but they're so subtle that you don't even realize how insane what you're looking at is, because we're so used to all the CG and bullshit.
Yeah.
But when from the very first scene, he's walking around because he wakes up first, and he's walking around the castle and like waking the other vampires
his
up.
Flat.
His flatmates. So he's walking around his flat so that they can have their flat meeting, and he opens the door, and again, very hard to pronounce his name, but Jermaine Clement.
He's our friend from Flight of the Conchords.
And
he was the giant crab in Moana.
He is also an absolute genius.
Yes.
He
Another
also
New Zealander.
co-wrote this movie. So like the two of them together are just fucking genius. And the cadence, there's no way that they could have explained that movie to studio guys to get the money to have it made.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the cadence of their performance is like why it's so funny and why it's so hilarious. Those two together are amazing. So anyway, Taki opens up the door, and Jermaine is like on the wall with like 3 chicks, and they're having some kind of weird orgy. And then he's just like, oh, sorry. They close the door. They don't cut, open up the door again, and he's standing right there, and he's like, what do you want?
It was good.
It's so amazing.
The whole like fight, quote unquote, fight scene between those two. And that was the one take, and they're crashing around. That was really good.
They're crashing around fighting. They go like over the other actors. So you're like, how are they rigged up to be able to do that? You know, it's amazing. And then they sit back down. They like cool down. Yeah. And as they're calming down, they float back down and sit in their chairs.
One of the great things he had the vampires do was like they have these little like hissy fits, these little cat fights where they just like hiss and like growl at each other.
I will do my dishes! Good to do that!
Of course, this is probably how they would really be, you know?
And they made it into the show. They do that a lot in the show, and it always cracks me up. Yeah. Like, I would think that joke would get old. No. But, like, in the show, they have a lady, and every time she does it, she's like...
These 400-year-old vampires that can't settle their differences any other way than, like, having a dick measuring contest.
The best is in the movie when they're mad at their flatmate because he hasn't washed the dishes in 5 years.
Yes.
Right, it's unacceptable to have so many bloody dishes all over this bench like that.
I'm so embarrassed when people come over here.
What does it matter? You bring them over, you kill them! Vampires don't do dishes.
And they just cut to the dishes, and they're piled up to the top of the counter, and they're all covered in blood.
Covered in blood, yeah.
It's like, vampires don't do dishes.
My favorite character was actually the really old looking vampire Peter.
Right, yeah.
He goes down, he's just sleeping in a rock tomb, and he opens it up. He's like, we're going to have a flat meeting in like 10 minutes. I don't know if you want to come. And he just like tries to bite his face off. He's like, all right, hey, if you make it, you make it. He's like, maybe you could pick up all like the spinal cords down here, you know?
That's what's so great too, is that they all look like normal humans, but Peter for some reason looks like Nosferatu.
Right. Yeah, he's like 8,000 years old.
Yeah. He lives in the basement, and he's like, I don't know, Peter, but maybe you could just clean up some of these skulls.
When you're a vampire, you become very sexy. You can't go to the ball as Blade. He's a vampire hunter.
Yeah, but vampires love Wesley Snipes, so
it's inappropriate. Okay, Vlad, the green jumpers or the black leather with the dragon belt?
Are you ready for some fun facts about this movie, Brian?
I'm ready.
All right. So they shot 125 hours worth of footage.
Is that a lot for a movie?
That's a lot for a movie.
I'm imagining that's a lot.
That's a lot to have to cut through. And
how many days did it take him to get 125 hours of footage?
A lot of days, probably.
At least 3 or 4, I would assume.
The whole thing was improvised by the cast. They had a script that Jermaine and Taka and Jermaine, they had a 150-page of actual script, but they wouldn't show it to anybody. So that's pretty amazing.
I do feel like Jermaine has always been really good at improvising. Like everything you see him in always definitely has his like personal take on it.
You're a cool guy, but you're not pulling your weight in the flat.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that I'm cool.
No, that's not the point, though.
Yeah,
You're missing
I
the
know.
point.
Not a flat meeting about how cool you are.
Like a lot of those Flight of Conchords like songs and skits, you feel like were just like him fucking around.
Yeah. And what's crazy to me is like I totally get it when like he's involved with making the movie. But he did a Jack White movie and Chris Smith, the guys who did Napoleon Dynamite. So he's a weird dude anyway.
Right.
But they wrote a movie called Gentlemen Broncos about a kid who's in high school who writes a story. Jermaine Clemens plays this like author, and he's supposed to have been like a really like famous, almost Stephen King type author, but he's got like writer's block and he can't come up with anything for his next book. And like his publicist is like,
worst nightmare.
Yeah, his publicist is like, you need to come up with a new book like now because you're like losing steam. You're not going to be famous anymore. So he steals this kid's story and changes it to make it his own.
Nice.
And
that's America.
That is America.
Yeah,
that's the American dream. But it always like he brought his brand of comedy to a Napoleon Dynamite type movie.
Right.
And it was really crazy, but that's another one that needs to be an Upper Deck movie. Because that one gets insane because they actually go into the story world and Sam Rockwell is the main character.
Oh, Jesus.
And you see Sam Rockwell's main character through 3 different drafts of the story. And at one point he's like a little effeminate dude, and then like another one he's like super tough and strong and everything. But like they like fly around on deers that shoot lasers out of their eyes and stuff. And I mean, they show all this. It's crazy.
Acid trip.
It is an insane movie, but that's for another time. We're talking about What We Do in the Shadows. Well, a great thing about this movie is that it doesn't. If I was like, Brian, what is this movie about?
That's okay. So I was actually thinking this towards the end of the movie. I was like, I don't know if this movie has like 45 minutes left or 5 minutes left because there's no climax. Like there's no motivation. Like they're not trying to get anything.
Right.
They're not like, there's no goal. They're not fighting anybody. They're not looking for anything. There's really nothing there. And I didn't realize it. I mean, that's supposed to be like the mark of a bad story, right? Like your characters are just wandering aimlessly with no goal. But I didn't even realize it until there was only 5 minutes left in the movie. And then I was like, wait, what are they trying to accomplish?
Right.
And then it was over. And it ends on a really funny note too. And I was just like, oh shit. Like, okay.
But it's crazy because they do pack in so many plot elements.
They do.
That you almost feel like there's a plot, but none of the plots get going.
Yeah, you think they're about to go somewhere, but like it just doesn't. And it actually makes it even funnier.
Right. And then like there's
it's just the mundane life of vampires. Like there's nothing special about what they do. They're not like out to actually kill anybody. They're just eating. They go out at night. They go to a club. They go to the night. Like this is the hottest Paris night, or this is the hottest vampire nightclub in New Zealand. And they go. It's the three of them there,
hopping around a little bit.
I thought it was great. They're like, so to get into a club, we have to be invited in. So they kept asking the bouncers, like, yeah, just ask us to come in. And the bouncers are like, you could.
If you want to go in.
Yeah, if you want to go in, just go in. And they're like, well, you got to like ask us to come in. And they're like, no, that's weird. Go away.
He's like, oh, come on, just say it. Just say come in. So anyway, one of the first like plot twists that happens is that their familiar, who is not a vampire, he hangs out with them and basically he's their slave and like their chore boy.
It's like in the movie it's like
so in the book in the show it's a guy, but in the movie it was a woman, and she wants to become a vampire, so that's why she's always doing these like horrible chores, like trying to get the blood out of their clothes, like scrubbing the bathrooms, and there's just like blood everywhere. But she brings some people over so that they can eat them, of course, but they like invite them over for spaghetti dinner,
right? And
the one vampire keeps saying biscotti try some biscotti. And so this guy Nick comes over there and he gets freaked out, and they wind up that's the one that winds up getting eaten by Peter is Nick, and then he turns into a vampire, and then he's like part of their crew, like he's hanging out with them.
Hi, my name is Nick. I've been a vampire for 2 months.
Nick is so much fun.
I'm a vampire. Vampire! He's such a dick.
One of my favorite parts of the movie is they're having that flatmate meeting, and he's talking about like how he's like, somebody who will remain nameless got blood all over my couch last week when they were eating someone. You know, just put some newspapers down or something. They're like, we don't do, like, we're vampires. Like, who does that?
We don't put newspaper down.
And then like a few scenes later, it's the Tahiti guy, and he's like, he's trying to talk to this. He's like, you know, I like to show them a good time before I eat them. It's their last moments on Earth. Like, why not entertain them? And he's over there like playing a recorder, and he's like trying to put newspaper down. And the chick can like totally tell something's like about to happen. And then he bites into her neck and he hits her jugular, and her blood is like, it's going everywhere except where he put newspaper down. He's trying to get it in his mouth like a dog with a fire hose. Like, ah.
That is like one of my favorite things in that movie. So one of the plot points is that it messes up their lives when Stu gets bit, and Stu's like just annoying and they all hate him. Nick. Nick is all annoying and they all hate him. And then he brings in his buddy, who is named Stu.
Right.
And he's just like a regular guy who somehow doesn't know that these dudes are vampires. He's just like hanging out with them. And it turns out that Stu is actually just a regular dude. He wasn't an actor. He was just some guy they met in Rutherford. And he's a part-time business analyst for a Wellington company called Landswork. And he's hired for the film under the impression that he'd be working on computers. And then they just made him be in the movie.
That's excellent.
That's amazing. The hill where the vampires have a run-in with the werewolves.
Oh my god. It reminded me of like groups of teenagers squaring off in middle school.
It absolutely was. Yeah. And they're like cocking each other off.
Yeah.
And the werewolves are all like about to turn, and they're like, oh no, calm down.
Hold me back.
Don't swear. What are we?
Werewolves, not werewolves.
But so that hill where they ran into each other was a place where they filmed Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. It's the place where Frodo and the hobbits are running and hiding from the Black Rider under the roots of the tree.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Thought we weren't talking Lord of the Rings.
What? It just popped in there. You can't talk about New England without talking about Lord of the Rings.
New Zealand. New England has the Patriots and boo Patriots.
The way they brought this movie to the U.S., they had to use Kickstarter. Can you imagine that, dude? Like, they had to get a Kickstarter.
No wonder, like, nobody's heard of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if I was a studio exec and somebody showed me this movie, I'd be like, all the money,
yeah,
you guys, all the money.
They need. This is one of the movies where I'm like, yeah, we need a sequel.
Well, obviously, Disney saw him and saw what he was capable of because they pretty much, like, took a huge chance with Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Because people could have hated that. You know, they're like, why'd they try to make Thor funny? This movie sucks, you know? But
can't please everybody.
But they knocked it out of the park because they took a chance.
Right.
And that's something Disney doesn't do very often, is take a chance.
That's true.
AKA, let's remake all of our animated classics into current classics.
Live action Lion King, live action Aladdin. I'm like, what?
Yep.
What happened to cartoons? Those were cool.
Dumbo just...
Now Beyonce's in Lion King. Fuck you. And you're like, what?
Dumbo just took a flying shit because it made like $40 million.
I didn't even know Dumbo was out.
Dumbo was out. Oh. Yeah, Tim Burton's Dumbo.
Those two things don't even belong in the same sentence. No, I don't know who thought that was a good idea.
Nope. I
feel like sometimes like South Park really hit it on the head when they were showing how Family Guy gets written, and it's just manatees taking a ball, like two random balls out of aquariums. Like, it's just like, you know what we need for Dumbo? Tim fucking Burton. Exactly. Like, that's what I think of when I think of happy flying elephants. Like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is there no one in Hollywood like that will ever raise their hand at a meeting and be like, whoa, hey, let's maybe rethink that, or like maybe a bad idea? Is everyone just getting jerked off and being like, that's the best idea you've ever had, sir. Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, this feels so good. We're so smart.
We don't need any more yes men. We need some no men. We need some no women just going around. No. Okay, my wife's really good at it. I'll send her to Hollywood.
There you go.
Ask her for in it. No,
we're not doing that. The character of Peter, they added more scenes for him just because it cost so much money to do his makeup. So like they added like the scenes.
We don't want to waste it.
Yeah. So they just like added scenes of him so that because he was like standing around and he was in that makeup.
He had no lines, but he was my favorite character.
He has like the most ridiculous teeth. Like he couldn't add lines. Every
single tooth looks like a vampire's fang, and they're all sticking out from his mouth. Like even when it's closed, there's just a row of fangs sticking out of his mouth.
Okay, here's more Peter Jackson facts. The exterior of the vampire's house is Peter Jackson's office.
Huh.
Weird, huh?
He has a very creepy looking office. I would say his office is haunted if I didn't know any better, which I don't.
I think they used his office in Dead Alive too. I think they filmed like the
Is there a word in between that, or is it just Dead Alive?
No, it's called Dead Alive. You never seen Dead Alive?
No.
God damn it, Brian.
I read books.
I read books. And I just masturbate to myself.
Well, yeah.
Oh, my books.
What do you masturbate
Watch a fucking movie.
Don't you look at your reflection?
I'm a reflection of my own butthole. No.
There's this kid in my high school, and his freshman year, he got caught jerking it in the gym, in the locker room, right in front of the mirror. So then his nickname the rest of high school was Handy Andy. Handy Andy, if you're out there listening, people don't forget.
Handy Andy. Yeah. Wait till you get home, man.
Yeah, seriously. Who's doing it in a high school locker room?
Yeah, like you're like, that smell gets me hot.
Well, apparently teenagers will do it anywhere.
Teenage ball sweat. Yeah, teenagers, you can't keep it out of there. You gotta slap it away from them.
No!
That is no! Not in Mom's car.
I was driving it, though.
Not in Grandma's crochet closet.
There's so much stuff to clean up with in here.
Yarn soaks up the jizzling so
That's a hot pad. Grandma made you a hot pad, not a jizz rag.
That was for cooking food. Why is it all sticky?
Spilled some syrup on it.
I was cooking hotcakes, Grandma! Let's see what else.
Although I'm disappointed that we don't have the same characters from the movie, because those guys are definitely really funny. After watching the first 2 episodes of the show, like I think they nailed it. And we've only seen the first 2 episodes so far, so it's not even like a whole season isn't even out yet. But just from the little bit we've seen, I think they nailed it.
They nailed it for sure. Like it's it's perfect because it's like it's close enough to the original to like make it feel just like the thing you love, but different enough to not be like, this is exactly the thing we loved,
right.
you know? So I think that they hit a really nice balance, and they certainly were good that they got with FX, who apparently can say fuck now on basic cable.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, they say fuck in that show.
I feel like just the rules of what you know on cable are just like slipping and slipping.
Well, and last year on It's Always Sunny, they said fuck a couple of times, and I was
true.
like, what?
It's true, they did.
When did this become okay?
When are we going to do a podcast about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Soon.
Yeah, all of our listeners out there, if you're not watching that show, do yourself a favor and watch that fucking show.
Seriously.
It's amazing. It was on Netflix, they took it off, but if you have a Hulu subscription, they're all on Hulu.
If you don't have a Hulu subscription, get a Hulu subscription.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
Talking Poo Podcast, brought to you by Hulu. If you're not watching Hulu, you're a fucking con.
Pay us money.
You messed up my ad. You talked over my ad.
Okay, sorry. Pay us a little less money than you were going to.
Yeah, that's not professional to do.
And our second sponsor today is Johnson & Johnson's Hemorrhoid Wipes. When you got the sticky red angry butthole, use Johnson & Johnson's Hemorrhoid Wipes.
All right, Brian, you big sexy beast. How much do you think this movie cost to make?
Ooh, I'm bad with numbers and stuff, but I'm going to go with a cool $100,000. No, sorry. I don't know. Let's go with $2.5 million.
1.6.
Okay.
So not far off. Its initial run, it made 6.9 million back. So that was a pretty good return.
Right.
But one of the things that they said was that piracy really fucked up this movie.
Really?
Yeah, like they found out that they shut down like a major pirating website. Like while this movie was like in its infancy, and they were trying to get like.
Are you the movie that got Pirate Bay shut down?
God damn you! No, there was another one that was based out of. So the film was heavily pirated after shutting down. It just says after the shutting down of a piracy website. Probably based in Mount Wellington, Auckland. The website revealed that 277,000 downloads were pirated from that website alone.
Damn.
So if you break that down into tickets, that's probably almost like double the budget or double the amount that they made.
Right.
You know, that's probably close to that 6.9 million.
You got to listen to those commercials. You wouldn't download a car.
Exactly.
I mean, I fucking wouldn't, but.
And
why can't we pirate like the new fucking Marvel movies and Disney? Like hurt their budget. Like don't like do the shit like this from a new guy.
That's the thing. It's kind of like pirating. I do believe is stealing, and I'm not saying that I do it, but ahoy, mateys.
Just saying like how we found this movie to watch the other day.
Right, and that's the thing is that like we didn't want to pay $3.99 to watch a movie.
What are we made of money?
Yeah, we're not.
By the way, go to our website and donate now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Who would pay us money?
I'm super poor, and so I don't always get my movies the right way.
Yeah, if you can't hear our kids playing in the background, it's because we're not in a big fancy recording studio.
Nope, we're not even. We're just in my kitchen. And we're not even in my kitchen alone. We're in here with like 4 dogs.
It's
and
fucking hot
4
in
babies.
Phoenix now. So
yeah, it's already hot. The kids can't go and play outside anymore. And so
if this bothers you, Joe from Those Movie Guys podcast, let's meet up and talk about it.
Actually, it's not Joe. It's Phil.
Phil,
Phil.
Yeah.
Joe has been a big supporter, but Phil, he's been starting beef with us. Yeah.
Let's meet up, Phil. Let's meet up. Maybe come on the podcast. See our setup. We have 2 microphones now. I don't know if you realize, Phil. We're rolling. 2 microphones and 1 rolling chair. So
that's right. We only have 1 rolling chair right now, but you know what? Pretty soon we're going to be big deals, and we're going to have up to 2 rolling chairs.
That's right. After we do our live podcast,
then my boy Brian
Phoenix
over here
Fusion
is going to be able to have his own rolly chair.
You're going to hear that a lot in the background if you give me a rolling chair.
Already, like I try to keep his elbow off the goddamn table, and it's constantly hitting the table and making noises in the microphone.
Sorry.
But yeah, let's talk about it. Phil from Those Movie Guys podcast did call out our audio problems the other day on his podcast.
Just because it's a fair criticism doesn't mean we like it.
That's right. Just because, yes, absolutely, we've had some terrible audio, and that we are Bush League when it comes to podcasters. That doesn't mean that you should call us out on your well-produced podcast.
What did we say about true but hurtful statements?
Exactly.
Hurtful.
But in a little bit of cosmic payback, at the end of that episode that he talked shit on, they have 2 minutes of silent airspace between the end of the episode and their end music.
Nobody's perfect.
So they did get back a little bit on that. But then, and like, my feelings were a little bit hurt, but I was like, hey, like, no, we're
being talked about.
We can poke at each other.
Yeah, we're being recognized.
Yeah, it's cool. No big deal. Like,
if we weren't any good, I think if we weren't any funny, if we weren't any good, like, they wouldn't even
he wouldn't even take the time to shit on us if we weren't worth it.
Right.
But he, then later in the episode, he criticized us for not writing a review on their website. And I have written a review on their website.
Yeah, we've done that. So
that's not cool, Phil.
Check yourself,
Phil, before you wreck yourself.
Because big dicks in your ass is bad for your health. That's how that song goes.
That's true.
Big dicks in your ass.
Big dicks in your ass.
Either it's a really good time or they're bad for your health.
It's bad for your health. Even if it's a good time when it's happening. Yeah. At the end, it's bad for your health.
I like to shit pancakes, so.
Word to your brother. But in saying that, though, I do want to say that those Movie Guys podcast not only have given us like a bunch of shout outs lately, but also Joe from those Movie Guys is actually helping me fix our audio. so thanks, Joe.
So sorry about all that shit we just said.
All that stuff we said before. It's water under your bridge. So they were working on a sequel for this for a while. I have a feeling that probably went by the wayside because of the television series.
Well, and he said that making the Thor got in the way of the sequel. They were talking about making a sequel more based on the werewolf clan.
What was it?
Shut up.
What were they?
Shut your mouth.
You shut your mouth. They were going to call it, and they were going to call it What We Do in the Moonlight. That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I, for one, really want to see that.
Yeah.
I don't care if there's a TV show out, like, definitely make that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm pretty sure that these bigwigs in Hollywood are still listening, so.
Oh, I guarantee. I know Warner Brothers is listening to us because they totally took all of our ideas about Suicide Squad and implemented them in the new movie, which was really weird. Speaking of Suicide Squad, did you hear that they cast Idris Elba as Deadshot, and then now Will Smith might want to come back, and so they're keeping Idris Elba, but they're not making him Deadshot?
See, we just have just problems already.
Yeah, already.
And the fact
problems.
that they were like, Suicide Squad 2 is going to not be a sequel, but more of a reboot. And you're like, oh.
And I was like, okay, I'm down with that. And then they're like, but we're bringing back Captain Boomerang, same dude.
Yeah.
That's not a reboot. That's just a sequel.
It's going to be hot garbage, and you know it.
It's James Gunn still, but I feel like James Gunn would have had something to prove because he got fired from Marvel, but now
he's back
with Marvel, and I bet that he's like, now Suicide Squad, instead of his fuck you project, is just his, it's just something I'm doing before I go back and do Guardians 3.
Right.
With all my fucking fat Disney money.
But speaking of DC, what'd you think of the new Joker trailer?
This is all stuff we should have had in the beginning of our episode, but yes.
Well, edit it around. Flip it.
Flip it and reverse it. I'm fucking furious at the new Joker trailer.
Okay, not where I thought you were going with it, but alright.
I feel like it looks like it's a cool movie.
It does.
But it has nothing to do with the Joker other than a few little, he's in Gotham City.
Right. The whole thing, living with his mom is definitely weird.
That's super weird. There's a weird scene where he's pouring water over ladies. Yeah, maybe. Is that his mom he's bathing?
I believe it's his mother.
I felt like it was too. And it seems like a weirdo serial killer movie, but then they just padded in the Joker, they just put it in there.
Which could go really well, but I have a feeling because again, DC's can make a great trailer.
They can make a great trailer. They always do.
Yeah.
Using old-timey songs to make you want to see a movie.
And he looks, I gotta say, in the trailer, Joaquin Phoenix, the transformation he went through, he looks creepy. He lost a lot of weight.
Super creepy. He looks very creepy. He pulled a Christian Bale in The Machinist.
Yeah.
His back is his spine is all sticking out and shit. You can see his bones. Not healthy. And he's one of those guys who was all fat before,
right.
And now he got healthy, and now he's super skinny again. He's destroying his body. And,
we don't. The actors, that's fine.
Yeah, they're disposable.
Yeah, exactly. Except for you, Arnold.
Yeah, you always have a place in my heart.
Live forever.
It's not a tumor. No. So this Joker movie, like I said, it looks like it's going to be a cool movie, but it has not. My Joker's already been done. Like, they did my Joker. Jack Nicholson, one of the greatest actors of all time, played him, and he played him down to a T. That he was the perfect Joker.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because I grew up in '89. Like, that's my comic book Joker.
Do you think we're gonna see Batman at all in this movie?
We see Bruce Wayne because they show him in the trailer,
right?
And we see Bruce Wayne's dad. But here's another thing that fucking pisses me off. This is the same problem I have with the show Gotham. Is that when the Joker and the Batman fight, the Joker's 80 years old?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's not cool. Like, I always thought the Joker is the dark.
They're contemporaries. They're opposites.
It's like so Batman is the darkness and Joker is the light in their relationship, which is super weird. But that's what makes it so cool. First off, I don't really care about the Joker as a character when I don't have Batman as his opposite.
It is a little weird to see a film that's just going to be about him.
Right.
Like what his origin story was always kind of cool because it is a little bit mysterious. You know, they did a little bit with Jack Nicholson, but like other than that, they've kind of left it alone.
That's another thing too. There's a handful of characters that don't have a background. Wolverine is one of them. The Joker's another one. And as soon as you tell me their background, it's never. I don't care what.
It's not as good as what I had in my mind.
Exactly.
Like, you're just like, oh, he lived with his mom a long time and got bullied, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Wolverine was a pansy ass, and he was in love with this girl, and she died.
I'm sorry, but go back to the comics and Wolverine. You're like, oh, he was running around feudal Japan and like murdering samurais with bone claws. Fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Like, tell me early stories.
Right.
Tell me early stories, but don't give me the origin of the Joker is such a crazy person. He's so nuts. I don't want to know why he's nuts because that makes it scarier for me.
And you almost feel like someone like the Joker had to be born that way.
Exactly. I have a really hard time believing that the Joker was like a normal dude and
came from just a bad set of circumstances. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And even the Jack Nicholson version where we see him before, you still don't know. You just know that dude was not a nice dude.
Right.
Like,
he's already a criminal before he fell in the vat.
Right. And so he was kind of nuts, and then he went all the way nuts. He was kind of bad and went all the way bad.
Falling in a vat of acid, that totally covers it.
Yeah. Now everybody loves the story of the Killing Joke, and that was the origin of the Joker in the comic books. And I don't like that he was like just a normal like comedian guy with a wife, like trying to make it happen. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. I will say I enjoy the Killing Joke, but I don't really enjoy that part of it.
Exactly.
Because it's not the main part.
Yeah. And
it's almost filler.
It is. So yeah, I don't like that at all. And yeah, so I just don't think I just think they're missing the mark. They're fucking with something that shouldn't be fucking with.
Well, here's what I think might happen. They might make a really good movie. And then be like, oh shit, what do we do with it now? Like, do we just keep making Joker movies without Batman?
Because it's outside,
because as soon as you put Batman in it, it's a Batman movie.
Exactly.
Like, it's no longer a Joker movie. So, like, what are they going to do with it?
Yeah.
Are they going to make origin stories for all these villains? Are they just going to stick with Joker? Like,
it's a one and done, but if you give me a goddamn Lex Luthor movie, I swear to God. I swear to God.
Nobody wants to see that.
I will shoot up a theater.
Yeah. This is why he doesn't have hair. No one gives a fuck. Thanks, Smallville.
Yeah.
Fuck. I just can't stand those like 30-minute episodes of superhero TV.
Ooh, like, it's bad, man. I watched it because I was excited about John Cryer being on Supergirl.
Yeah.
And only because he was like sort of part of the mythology because he was in a Christopher Reeve Superman. It was the worst one, but he was in there. And now he's playing Lex Luthor, so I went to check it out, and it's awful. And I stopped watching Supergirl a long time ago, and I like her hotness was what was keeping me in there at first, but now it's like so far removed that I don't even care anymore.
I'm a huge Batman fan, and I can't even watch Gotham. Like, I just don't.
I know. I even tried stepping back into Gotham because of
who wants to see Batman
it was getting closer to the trailer, or it was getting closer to the stuff. They were showing characters in their costumes and stuff, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna check this out. I got 2 episodes in and was like, okay, I'm done. I'll come back on the series finale. Like, I'll watch the last one because I want to see that kid do the Batsuit. I've already seen a picture of it online, so it doesn't work good. His face is not right for a Batsuit.
The TV shows rarely get it right.
No. Well, can't say that because Teen Titans was goddamn amazing.
That's true, but that's a cartoon.
No, not that Teen Titans. The live action Teen Titans that they did on the WB series.
I was thinking of the one I watched with my daughter.
Right. Yeah. Different thing.
Which is a good show.
Yeah. No. Teen Titans Go was hilarious.
If you have to watch a cartoon with your kid, Teen Titans is not a bad option.
That's the way to go. Yeah, for sure. Is there any way we can bring this podcast back to vampires?
I liked the movie. Good movie.
Well, I mean, let's talk about like the vampire tropes that it beat. You know, like it's like so many movies like Scary Movie and stuff like that. It's like very obvious they're being parodies of horror movies, and they take like direct references,
and they hurt to watch.
Yeah. And they're so obvious with their comedy. You know, you're like, oh, I get what they're doing here because it's like set up exactly like it's making fun of another movie. This wasn't like that at all.
No.
Like, this one is very clever and very subtle in what it's doing, and it is making fun of vampire tropes.
Yeah, the whole like we can't come in unless we're invited. Even the way they fly, like they don't fly like gracefully. They don't like float around. It looks like the way they're just trying to get through the air, and they like hover outside of windows and they get stuck all the time, like trying to get in and shit. Yeah. You're just like, it's not even like that fucking graceful.
Right. And they all base their characters around different like movie vampires. Right. Like the one guy was Nosferatu.
And then Jermaine he's like, I was known for like stabbing people full of holes, so I became Vladislav the Poker.
Yeah, I dug that.
Oh, there's a little poop.
Brian, poop. Was that? Did you just poop?
Can we pause for a second? I gotta go check my.
You don't have to check. I know what happened. You just pooped.
I gotta say, even worse than this was right before the podcast started when Sonia filled her diaper.
That was rough, dude.
I have smelled better shits coming out of full-grown drunk soldiers after a huge night of binge drinking has smelled better than what Sonia did to that diaper. What are you feeding that kid?
I went in and to change my little 2-year-old daughter. And I opened that diaper up and I said, how did my diarrhea get in that diaper? Because it was so gross. And like there were like chunks of full carrot in there.
Did she chew?
It looks like she ate stew right before she did that. But she's never eaten stew, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what is going on.
I don't know how she does it.
No.
I don't know how she does it. Because this is not a one-off. That's for sure.
No, it's not like that.
Sonia has smoked us out before.
Yeah. Yeah. What I don't understand too is like how she like her turd looks for the design of the diaper, looks for the design flaw in the diaper.
And
so it blows out the front inner leg.
Yeah, of course.
Is where the diarrhea comes out.
And then they walk around in it for a while and they like really get it worked in.
Yeah, she did not want us to change it. She was crying and stuff.
She denied it. We were like, Sonia pooped?
Did you poop?
She's like, no. You pooped.
And then later she's like, sticky? No, it's not sticky. But it was sticky and gross. And it burned because it turned her skin red.
Spicy.
That my turds often turn my skin red too.
True.
I mean, you look at the inside of your butt after you poop, right? To make sure that like your butt cheeks are okay. Like that's the thing. Like you get up on the step stool and like pull your cheeks apart in the mirror.
No.
You don't.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
Yeah, no. I said that to make you laugh.
Right.
Yeah, that was a joke.
We have to have a talk after the podcast. I'm a little worried about you.
I feel ashamed.
At least you're used to it.
All right, Brian.
My closing thoughts on what we do in the shadows is go see it.
Go see it.
And make it more popular so that we get the sequel. And then check out the show.
Yeah, check out the show on Fox. It's seriously awesome. And then the movie is not available to download right now. It used to be on Amazon Prime. You can still get it for $3.99. You can rent it. But the more call there is for people wanting to watch it, that I think that like you see it. Like I noticed that if I search something out on Netflix, like in 2 months, all of a sudden that movie's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's a little
so weird. I think they look at the searches.
They are for sure.
Yeah,
they'd be dumb if they weren't.
Yeah, so just hit search for What We Do in the Shadows, and they'll add it back to Prime or Netflix. And then you can watch it. But no matter what, don't pirate it because you're being an asshole if you pirate it. But if I pirated it, I mean, if somebody pirated it before
this podcast,
before we knew that it was a problem for the film, then you're grandfathered in.
Right.
Like if you pulled it off an old hard drive and it was already the deed was already done. It's like if somebody stole $100,000 and put it in your grandpa's floorboards.
Or like if you fuck your stepsister, it's not incest.
Whoa, wait a minute. No, that is not okay.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Is it your cousin that's okay?
No, that's not okay either.
How many times?
Not your stepmom. No.
Shit.
No.
Okay.
No.
Right.
Not even your dad's new girlfriend. That's not okay.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's really limiting my options here.
Yeah. Sorry about that. But I'm glad we got that straightened out. Because,
I guess.
Yeah, I'm worried for you.
Well, now my window of sexual partners has just shrunk dramatically.
Right. Like, I met your stepsister. She seemed nice.
That should not a catch.
She wasn't hard for you to catch.
Whoa.
Oh, damn it. Almost killed me. All right, Brian. It's the time in our show. We get both little cheeks up on the toilet, and we flush it or we flaunt it.
27 Hearts Beats.
You flush it. I want it.
I have some good ones. My flaunt it this week is a show on Amazon Prime called Grand Tour. It's a car show, or it started as a car show called Top Gear, but it's really more about like these three guys and like the funny shenanigans they get into while they happen to be driving cars. So season 3 just came out on Amazon Prime, and they still release it weekly, but they just released like the second to last episode, I think, for the season. And so, for example, they just took these three guys to Mongolia, they dropped them off in the middle of nowhere, and then they airdropped in 3 crates, which had all these parts for cars in it, and they had to build a car and drive their way out of Mongolia with only like 7 days rations. So it's 3 old British alcoholics who have like no beer. They didn't give them any alcohol. So like the entire thing of this episode was like, let's find a fucking pub. Like, where is the nearest pub in Mongolia? But it's great. It's comedy. These 3 guys have been doing it together forever. So their chemistry and their comedy is really well done. Even if you don't, I'm not a big, what they call petrol head. I'm not a big car guy.
Yeah, I don't really like those shows usually.
Right. I'm not a big car guy. Although I will say every time after I watch a Grand Tour and I go driving somewhere, I am driving like a little faster. I'm like, and then my flush it. So that was my flaunt it.
Yeah.
And my flush it this week, I'm actually going to pull a fast one and do a reverse flush it.
What?
And pull your flush it out of the toilet.
No.
Yeah.
I've discussed with
the Ultimate Spider-Man is awesome. And I went back
It's not called the Ultimate Spider-Man.
Spider-Man Infinite Universe or whatever.
You don't even know the name because the name of it is so stupid.
No. I went back and I rewatched. I was like, man, was Jason right for his flush it?
Yep.
Because I hadn't seen it and since the theaters, and I was like, okay, I'll go back
and
and rewatch
tell the people
it.
what you're talking about because you still haven't got the name right.
I don't remember. Spider-Man Infinite Universe.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
That's what I said.
Is there such a thing as a Spider-Verse?
There is now.
It's dumb. The title's dumb.
No, it was great. The animation was awesome. The story was great. I don't know why you said it was slow. It was a good pace for an animated
slow.
movie. Had Nick Cage in it. You love Nick Cage.
I love
you
Nick
have bad
Cage
taste.
In a good Nick Cage.
And it had John Mulaney as Pig Spider-Man, which I thought was hilarious. And then different takes on the villains like Doc Ock and stuff.
It didn't know where it was going, and it didn't tell a good, heartfelt story.
Wrong again. Wrong on all counts. Don't listen to Jason on this one. He's way wrong. That's why I'm reverse flushing it. Bringing this one back into the Spider-Verse. Go see it. It's amazing. Jason has just walked away.
So much I respect your.
He's so upset that I reverse flushed it. He's leaving the podcast.
You can't reverse once it's down the toilet.
It's called a plunger. It's called a plunger, Jason. I plunged it back out. Go see Into the Spider-Verse and ignore Jason's.
Go see Into the Spider-Verse and understand what a overrated movie is.
Jason, all of our listeners already agree with me on Suicide Squad. All of them. Every single listener.
That's not true. I got
every single listener wrote me a message and said, Jason is dumb. You're awesome.
So 2 people wrote you and said that.
Okay, my mom.
Your mom listens to this podcast?
She does.
Now she's going to know what you did with your sister.
She loves me. Stepsister. But that is it. I did a reverse flush it. I pulled a fast one on you.
It wasn't really fast. Like, you told me you were going to do it before you did it.
I did say
and
that.
then you just did it again.
Right.
I thought you were kidding when you said you were going to do it because I was like, no, you can't.
Yeah, you thought.
You didn't argue with me. You just stopped talking.
Well, I'm just a guy that would rather ask for forgiveness than permission. So.
That shit doesn't fly with me because.
What are you going to do?
Because I'll never forgive you.
Yeah, you're not going to do anything.
I'll never forgive you.
He might edit me out, but that's it.
I'll edit out your whole thing. I can just push a button and it goes away. Everything that's the power I have. I'm a god now. I am God around here. I can just make you not have said things.
That's true.
Which I have to do a lot with you, actually. If you guys heard like the unedited cut of this, you hear Brian saying so many N-words and F-words. What? My flaunted this week is the Ron Burgundy podcast.
Ew.
Have you heard about this?
I have not.
Oh my gosh. So
is it really Will Ferrell?
Will Ferrell is doing a weekly podcast, and it started off kind of like it's a Will Ferrell idea.
Right.
He has no plan whatsoever. And it started off the first couple episodes where I was like, I don't know, he's kind of trying too hard, but he's found we're on like episode 5 now. Little things that he has said throughout the podcast have now become like a major, like in one of the first or second episode, he mentioned that his garage was haunted and he's afraid to go in there. The last episode was entirely about his haunted garage.
All right.
And how he's going to fill it with concrete because it's the only way to keep the spirits out. And he did another one where he was where he talks to a psychic and he's like, so you live forever. And she's like, no, that has nothing to do with being a psychic. And he's like, okay, so you can only die if your head's been cut off. And she's like, I think that's a Highlander. It's freaking genius. He's definitely like hit his stride now, and he knows what's funny. And then it's the only podcast where I actually listen to the ads, because he has 3 sponsors right now, and one of them is Charmin toilet tissue. And like his ads for that shit are so fucking funny, dude.
We need to get some ads, by the way.
We need some ads. So if
you have a business,
I mean, Charmin's taken, but like we'll do like Continental.
How good would that be for talking poop
toilet paper? Oh yeah, come on! It doesn't take a genius to put 2 and 2. See what I did there?
I see that.
Number 2 means poop. It's really good, and I highly encourage everybody to go check out. It's a weekly podcast, so I know he doesn't need my help.
Yeah, right. Big shout out over here to Will Ferrell. You're welcome.
A little guy you may have heard of named Will Ferrell. But no, it's really good though.
So if all 60 of our listeners could go
over and give that guy a break. And my flesh it this week is going to be the entire series of The Walking Dead, which started off so strong and so good, and has just most people have jumped ship on that show.
I'm with you on that one,
and I've been hanging on, just like polishing the brass in the Titanic, watching it all go down. It's gotten worse and worse and worse, and it got a little breath of life in the episode before the last episode of this season. Did you see it?
No, I've stopped watching that show a long time ago.
Okay, so I should have. I keep hoping that something good is going to happen. Just bad stuff keeps happening, and like not interesting stuff.
I can tell you the exact moment the first time I stopped watching that show.
Yeah,
I believe it was season 2 when they were at that farmhouse. Mm-hmm. And there's one point in one of the episodes where nothing's going on because they're at the fucking farmhouse.
Yeah.
And Rick tells almost everyone where he's going, and he's like, hey, I'm headed in for a supply run. I'm taking a car. And literally everyone on the farm is like, sounds great. Good to know. And then 10 minutes later in the episode, his wife's like, where's Rick? Has anyone seen Rick? And everyone has Alzheimer's. And she's like, well, I better go out by myself and find Rick, because he can't take care of himself. You know, he'll get lost and killed out there. If not for me.
I think I recall this episode.
Yeah. So she takes a fucking car, goes out towards town. There's one goddamn zombie in the road. She flips the car, rolls it, ends up getting chased by like 40 of those fuckers. And I just turned it on. I was like, okay, now we're at the part where we're writing based on really bad decisions and shitty information. Literally anyone at the farm could have been like, oh, he went for a supply run. And then she would have been like, okay, cool, thank you.
Yeah. And
instead they were like, we have to create conflict and drama. My wife kept watching it. I tuned in a little later. It was like, cool, they found a prison. They can lock that down and make a fort. Oh, they fucked that up too?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then I saw the episode where Negan came in and like beat 2 characters to death, and I was like, oh, now we're just going for gratuitous violence to keep people hooked in. Cool. And I just walked away again. You know, I was just like...
I was even cool with that. I was like, that's exactly what we need in this show. But now they're just farmers. They're just farming.
They're back to that.
Yeah.
The cycle has all the way back.
They've got fences.
Don't worry, they'll fuck it up.
They've got a great...
someone will make a terrible decision.
Yeah,
you know what we should do? We should try to cure the zombies. Let them in. And I feel like there was also a time where they like found that community and they had gates and fences and they fucked that up too. That was like before Negan. And it's just like every time. And it's not because of anything good. It's not because the zombies like outwitted them. That's the problem with the zombie show. The antagonists are never going to grow and change like that. So it's always them making bad decisions.
Right. Well, and now they're not even trying anymore because now the zombies aren't even a threat. because there's this new group that's called the Whisperers.
Right.
And they just whisper to the zombies, but they wear zombie faces and just walk around with the zombies. So apparently the zombies
are really dumb.
If you're in a zombie costume, they don't know you're not a zombie.
That's straight out of Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, it's really lame.
Yeah. Which, great zombie movie, Shaun of the Dead.
Great zombie movie. Way better than Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And way shorter.
Yep. Yeah, won't waste your time. They do have some cool characters on that show, but for the most part, it's definitely gone very downhill. I agree with your flush it.
All right, Brian.
Hey,
here we are again for a little segment I like to call Fuck, Marry,
Ding ding,
Kill, Fight!
Tell me who you'd fuck, marry, and kill. This game is the definition of thrill. You have to pick, you have to choose. If you don't, you will lose. Tell me who you'd fuck, marry, and kill. Who you'd fuck, marry, and kill.
All right, Brian, here's your choices.
All right, give me my terrible choices this week.
Bram Stoker's Dracula, Gary Oldman, the old version with the butt cheek.
Yeah, the butt cheek hair. Okay.
Bela Lugosi's Dracula.
The black and white one?
Yeah.
Okay. Fuck.
What's the Twilight kid's name? Edward. Jacob. No, Jacob's Team Edward. Edward's the
glittery one.
The glittery vampire. Okay, Edward the glittery vampire. And
it's gotta be somebody from what we just talked about, right?
Hugh Jackman from Van Helsing.
What? So nobody from the movie that we just talked about.
It's vampires. We're talking about vampires.
Oof. I'm gonna brutally I'm just gonna kill Gary Oldman's Dracula because he scares the shit out of me.
He is scary.
Terrible. I've had nightmares about him.
He'll like walk up and lick your shadow.
Yeah. And you'll feel it though.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what?
What was that?
So I just want him to die because he scares the shit out of me. But so does the old Dracula.
Right.
So I'm going to fuck him. Hopefully fuck him to death with my prosthetic.
He's already dead.
Wooden penis.
So would you fuck him to life?
As a steak.
A stake through his butt? I don't think kills a vampire.
I think that's my prosthetic wooden penis acting as a stake in the butt will help. Or maybe just a baseball bat. Maybe I'll fuck him with a baseball bat up the butt.
I don't know if it's going to help. Unless maybe you etch a cross into the end of it.
I'm hoping to fuck him to death. Or maybe I'll put like a little silver on my penis. I'll rub some garlic on it. That's what I'll do.
There you go.
Get some garlic on this bad boy.
I usually rub garlic on your penis because it helps the smell.
And the herpes.
And it puts a layer between my mouth and the herpes.
Yeah, which it does. Then I'm going to fight Edward because I've literally always wanted to fight that guy. So thank you for putting him in there. I'm going to fight him and I'm going to brutally murder him in the course of the fight.
No, you can't kill him. You've already picked a kill.
I'm going to put him on life support then. He's going to be all fucked up. Him and his glittery ass. And then I'm going to marry Hugh Jackman because he has a beautiful singing voice and he can serenade me every night before we go to bed.
He really does.
Yeah, he's a man of many talents.
Yeah. He could just whisper in your ear, Brian Gunn, I love your smooth butt cheeks.
I never should have played Wolverine.
I never should have played Wolverine.
Stuck to Broadway. Who knew? All right.
That brings us to the end of our episode. You made the announcement last week, whether I wanted you to or not, that we were doing.
Out. Yeah. I also made it earlier in the episode because again, it just pops out.
Yeah, it just kind of comes out of you, even though I told you keep that a secret until everything's locked down and in stone.
Yeah.
But we are doing the Phoenix Fan Fusion Fest. I don't know if that's the right name for it.
So, disclaimer, it used to be Phoenix Comic-Con. And San Diego got all uppity and started suing everybody using the Comic-Con name. And so every other Comic-Con around the country was like, oh shit, we got to come up with a different name.
Yeah.
And they obviously only had 10 minutes to do it because they came up with Fan Fusion.
Yeah.
So
that's not a great name for it.
Not the best name.
And not very descriptive. Like if you're like, I'm going to the Phoenix Fan Fusion, people don't know what you're talking about. Idea. They don't know what that is. But if you say I'm going to Comic-Con, they're like, yeah, brother.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, Comic-Con. So we'll be doing 2 live broadcasts from Comic-Con this year. I'm going to go ahead and announce that Friday at 3 o'clock, we're going to be doing...
Friday, May 24th.
May 24th, yes. At 3 o'clock, we're going to be doing The Princess Bride in the second floor of the comic convention.
We are bringing you everything you didn't know and didn't need to know about this movie
About the Princess Bride.
book.
Exactly. Yeah. Brian is going to actually read the book.
I'm going to reread the book. I read it a long time ago. I remember it being pretty close to the movie because it's the same guy who wrote the script for the movie. So
really?
It's pretty similar.
All right. Well, maybe we don't even need you there then. Maybe you could just like hand me like a note card and I'll just read what you would have said.
Yeah.
And I'll just give the pass to someone who really wanted it.
It's usually what the fans want because I'm not very well liked on this podcast.
And then Friday night at 9 p.m. we'll be doing an adults only podcast of Fright Night, the 1985 classic.
And to be clear, all of our podcasts should be adults only.
Yeah, like if we didn't mention that at the beginning, I apologize.
Who knew Talking Poop?
Talking Poop was going to be not age appropriate for the youngins. But yeah, so that's our exciting news that's coming up. And we are designing t-shirts, we're designing business cards, stickers. We're going to have some good stuff that we'll be able to sell at Comic-Con, and then hopefully we're going to pass that on to you guys and you can purchase it from our store.
We won't charge money for a picture with us.
Exactly. You don't have to pay $90 for my autograph.
Or $120 like Jeff Goldblum.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Just because you're currently working on projects doesn't mean you can charge $120. It should be cheaper because he doesn't need the money.
Right, exactly.
Like, I would rather give my money to, like, the kid who played Atreyu in The Neverending Story.
And I remember, like, just a few years ago, the most expensive person, I think it was like $40.
Yeah.
And it was just a few years ago at Comic-Con. That was the most expensive, like, picture/autograph combo you could get.
Right, and that was like
$40.
Luke Skywalker himself.
I wish.
And
I think it was actually Nathan Fillion.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing him, like, walking across the floor.
But now it's like $90 for the pink Power Ranger.
And I'm sorry, I just don't want an autograph that bad.
Right, no,
like,
me neither.
It just, your name scribbled across a photo just doesn't, like, do it that much for me.
For me, seriously, the best part is just, like, walking past and seeing them, and I'm like, oh, there's the pink Power Ranger, there's...
Yeah. Like, maybe talking to them for a little bit and just realizing, like, oh, they're cool people.
Well,
like,
that's never going to happen. They have you at least 500 yards segregated from the stars.
Well, ever since that court order, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean just you. I meant, like, the average fan. But I think you have to be actually outside the building.
Okay, that case is still pending. Okay, you are innocent until proven guilty in this country.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be like machine gun and then like just fucking jump on George R.R. Martin like he's an old man.
Let's try to do everybody a favor.
Yeah, you're like write your book. Sure. What are you doing at McDonald's?
Turns out it was not George R.R. Martin. He was just an old guy. Actually, funny story. I did see. A guy who was just cosplaying as George R.R. Martin at Comic-Con. Because I guess he was just like, I'm a fat old white guy. I'm just going to lean into it.
That's amazing.
And then my friend went up and got a picture with him and was like, thanks, Grim. And he was like, I'm not George. But he looks a lot like him.
That's amazing. So was he cosplaying or was he just there?
He was like...
as an old man.
He was cosplaying. Like, he had the little black hat and the suspenders and all that shit. Like, he had it down to a T.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was perfect.
What if it really was him and your friend was like, thanks? He's like, I'm not that guy.
Not that guy, because if I say I'm him, then you're going to tell me to write my books.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of another finely tuned episode. I mean, we couldn't get our show any tighter than it is right now.
Phil.
Honestly. Yeah, Phil. I mean, we are running a tight ship over here at Talking Poop that cannot be spoken of illy.
Not even in a constructive manner.
Don't even constructively criticize us because we will be furious all week about it. All right, everybody. Remember to check us out. Check out our website, talkingpooppodcast.com. Check us out at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.
Yes. Brian Gunn Books on Instagram, Twitter, all that good shit.
You said that book was coming out, by the way. Where is it?
The publisher is MIA. I am not the only author of this short. Like, there's 52 other authors in this short story compendium.
Well, that doesn't make you sound like as big a deal.
Several people are trying to get a hold of this guy and are like, what the fuck? March 15th was the date.
Yeah.
And March 15th is come and gone, fuckface. And he's not answering any messages. He's not returning any calls. Like, I really don't know what's going on. And this is like my first taste of the publishing world. And I'm like, great, is this what it's like every time? Like, you get a date, they say, fuck that, it's arbitrary, and then they just avoid you? Like, I don't know.
That's life in the big city, Brian.
Yeah. Apparently.
Welcome to showbiz. There ain't no biz like showbiz. You get fucked in your butt. Well, yeah, porn is showbiz. Porn is show us your biz.
Show us your biz.
Yeah, that's just they have a little bit different saying. Their Walk of Fame looks a little different than the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
It's not a star.
No, it's just like labia prints in the concrete.
Just squat over the wet concrete. There you go.